Well, it's 8 o'clock, so we're going to start. And this morning we're doing a loving kindness meditation, or as it's traditionally called, a Metta Bhavana, and we're doing it for ourselves. Usually we do it for ourselves and other people, but on a Wednesday we concentrate on loving kindness towards ourselves. Good morning, Tracy. Good to see you. And I've got a quote here that I'm going to start with from a very respected teacher. I think she's died now, but it's called Ayakema, and she's written quite a lot of books. She's not a member of our tradition, but she says some very wise words in her books. And this is a quote about being our own best friend. The real shift in our lives comes when we realise that our thoughts are what make us happy or unhappy, that they are the masters of our inner life. Then we will make sure that we are our own best friend, even our own noble friend, whatever our external circumstances might be. As a noble friend to ourselves, we will support all that is positive in us, while dissuading ourselves from the negative, and we will foster an interest in anything that can help us make progress. Again and again we will patiently acknowledge our difficulties, and instead of blaming ourselves, we will try to change something. I think that's really useful advice. And I was reading an article on Facebook the other day about unconditional love. The author called it absolute love, and this is very much a Buddhist concept, that the universe is full of love, that we live in a very loving universe, and we have a connection to that love. We have a strong connection, and that love can that unconditional love can shine through our being onto ourselves and other people. The trouble is that we mask it. Bit like a fog or pollution, we pollute the air with our own habits and our own negative thoughts and our own negative emotions, and particularly our own negative view of ourselves. So this practice, particularly today, is about trying to just see the moments when we close ourselves down to this universal love that is always available. We do this by becoming smaller, mostly by judging, by being critical, by holding on to habits. And if we can see ourselves doing that and just let that go, then little by little this ultimate sense of love, this unconditional love, begins to shine through us, and it makes us happier, a lot happier, and it means that we are a lot kinder and more loving to the rest of the world, and so it changes the world in very radical ways. So we're going to try in this practice just open up to this unconditional love, this love that has got no sense of selfishness in it. It's just a pure love that reaches out to others and to ourselves with a sense of acceptance and friendship and understanding, and patience as well. So we're going to do that with this special practice this morning. It's 5 stages, and I'm not going to go through it beforehand. Good morning, Mia. Good to see you. I'm not going to go through it beforehand, but I'll lead us through it stage by stage. Basically, it's looking at our inner world, and with a sense of as much kindness as we can muster, and a sense of being our own best friend, as Ayakema said, being our own noble friend. So Let's begin. And you can do this, as I always say, wherever you are. Just be comfortable and just relax. Relax as much as you can. That's really important. So we'll begin in the usual way, as we always begin in meditation, by just settling in, by taking stock of where we are, who we are this morning. Are we our happy selves, or are we our slightly grumpy selves? Are we anxious self, a disappointed self, a hopeful self, a tired self, a bored self? And there's so many selves that we can be. Which one are we right now? Without thinking too much about it, just feeling into this sense of who you are, how you are this morning. And then taking a deep breath, maybe. Breathing out completely, allowing the body and mind to just relax. Letting the weight of your body just be held by whatever you're sitting or lying on. Letting go of any effort to do anything. Just allowing the whole of your being to soften and relax. And bringing your attention to the chest area. Chest expanding and contracting as you breathe in and breathe out. Relaxing on the out-breath, bringing energy in on the in-breath. And just trying to locate the heart center, the spiritual heart at the center of your being, at the center of the chest, somewhere behind the sternum at the bottom of the rib cage. You may or may not be able to feel this, but if you bring to mind someone you really, really love, it might become apparent. A person or a pet, just bring them to mind. And what you might find is that a warm, pleasant feeling arises in the heart center. If it doesn't, just stay open to noticing it. Don't worry about it. If it does arise, this warm, benevolent, kind feeling in the center of the chest, behind the rib cage, then allow it to grow. Don't try and do anything with it. Just allow it to slowly expand. Maybe fill the whole of your being. This is the Metta Bhavana or loving kindness meditation for ourselves. And we begin by just reflecting that as human beings we're very complex. We're also very, very precious. We are very lucky to have this life. We could have been born in much more adverse circumstances. We may not have been born as human beings, but here we are as this complex human being that you are. A precious being, just like a jewel, just like a precious jewel. And like a precious jewel, we are multifaceted, many sided. And just like a jewel, these facets, these sides have been polished over our lifetimes. Some are smooth and shiny, some are less shiny, some are quite dark and difficult. We are a beautiful jewel, but we're not fully polished yet. We're not shining in our fullness. And can we be kind to ourselves about that? Can we have a sense that as time goes by, we have the opportunity to polish each facet of ourselves so that it's pure and bright. Without getting caught up in judgments or criticisms about how we should be or where we fail. Can we just accept our precious jewel exactly as it is? A work in progress. Can we have a sense of kindness to all these different parts of us, ourselves? Some of them good, some of them maybe not so good. Can we be friends with our habits and reactions and have a sense of care and tolerance towards them? We may not be perfect, but we are always doing our best. And we can change. So the first step is to accept ourselves exactly as we are, with a sense of kindness and patience. Can we wish ourselves well? Can we wish ourselves good health, happiness, and freedom from suffering? So in the second stage, we're just going to see if we can be our own best friend. If one of our friends who we really care about came to us upset, angry, reacting, what would we do? We would support them, wouldn't we? We would perhaps put our arms around them and reassure them that actually everything was all right. They were all right. We would encourage them. We would hold their hands, literally or metaphorically. We would take care of them. So can we be our own best friend? Can we do that for ourselves? Can we take care of ourselves, support ourselves, encourage ourselves? There is a best friend inside of all of us. Can we allow that best friend to shine through and to take care of us in our lives, in good times and bad times? Can we always be there for ourselves, loving ourselves, supporting ourselves as we make our way through the difficult path of life? And in the third stage, we're going to look at the part of us that reacts, the part of us that gets frightened, that gets upset, that gets angry. In other words, our inner child, this small child within us that sometimes finds it hard to cope with life. This small child within us that gets frightened, gets upset, feels rejected, feels hurt, disappointed, grief-stricken. Now, if this was a real child in the world that came running to us for help, that was upset and crying and frightened, what would we do? We would put our arms around it, hold it close to ourselves, and give it love. Give it reassurance. we would take care of this child. We would help it. We would support it. We would make it feel loved. Wouldn't we? So can we do exactly the same things for our own frightened inner child? Can we take care of him or her when they need care? Can we give them love when they need love? Can we support this child rather than being angry with it? Can we give it love rather than turning it away? Can we be a really good parent to our inner child? Can we nourish this inner child and make it whole and happy? So staying with our arms around the inner child, if we wish, we're going to bring to mind our inner critic, this part of us that is always there, observing what we do, commenting on what we do, and judging what we do. This inner critic that tells us that we're not good enough, that we need to be better. This inner critic that tells us that we're stupid or foolish, and that we should act in different ways to the ways we do act. So instead of listening to what this inner critic says too much, can we just see what this inner critic is trying to do? In reality, it's a very positive part of ourselves. This inner critic just wants us to be happy. It's just got our best interests at heart, trying to point out how it thinks we could be better. In fact, this inner critic, though meaning well, is completely deluded. It's not very wise. It wants the best for us, but doesn't understand the best way to go about that. So can we have a sense of love to our inner critic? This part of us that's doing its best to help us, but not in a sensible, wise way? Can we turn towards our inner critic and just see that it's fueled by anxiety and fear, and give it love? This poor inner critic, just worried, wanting to do its best, and needing love and reassurance and care. Can we help our inner critic to feel safe? And instead of taking what the inner critic says to heart, can we just see that it is a small, frightened part of us, and that all it needs is reassurance, just like the inner child. So in the final part of this meditation, we bring together again the whole of ourselves, this multifaceted, precious jewel, including the inner child and the inner critic. And the best friend. Can we see that we are work in progress and that actually we are doing okay? We're progressing through life and we're doing our best, which is all we can do. Can we give ourselves credit for that? Can we love the whole of our being without reservation? The good bits, the bad bits, the neutral bits. Can we have a sense of joy for all of ourselves? Complicated human beings, perfect in our imperfectness, always doing our best. Can we open our hearts to ourselves? Can we let ourselves be our own best friend? Can we parent our inner child and give it love? And can we offer the hand of help to our critical self? Yes, we can change. But in order to do that, we need to see ourselves with positive regard and a deep sense of kindness and love. So for the last few moments of this meditation, last few minutes, just sitting with that, with this sense of deep kindness and support for ourselves. I'm going to bring the meditation to a close. So when the bell goes, just taking your time, opening your eyes when you're ready, moving your body, and bringing the morning meditation to an end.